Guys, tell me, how many of you have tried to make soap before and have ended up mixing your oils and lye solution together, and then your soap butter thickens so fast it becomes so hard and solidified that you cannot pour it into the mold? Just tell me, because it has happened to me way too many times, especially when I was starting out soap making. It was happening all the time. And today you're gonna learn the reasons why this happened. So there are 4 main reasons that we're gonna look today that lead to trace acceleration, and then we're gonna learn how to troubleshoot that. I'm very excited for you to learn this because I had a lot of pain going through this trace acceleration thing. Once I made a soap batch with 5 different molds, so it was a very big soap batch, around 4.5 to 5 kilos of oils, and it was almost completely ruined because I got a huge trace acceleration. So I don't want that for you. So today you will find out why this happened and how to troubleshoot that. So when we say trace acceleration, first of all, what is trace? So trace is when your oils and lye solution have been mixed together and they have emulsified enough to leave a trace on your stick blender. Light trace is when your butter is thin, kind of like a heavy cream. You know, heavy cream, it's kind of like, it's still liquidy, you can see it, but it's quite thick in a way. So that's basically how your soap light trace looks like. Medium trace, your butter is thicker, it's kind of like pudding. And then heavy trace, this is almost on the verge of being solidified completely. The butter basically here is so thick, it's almost like mashed potatoes. So which one do you want? You want light trace. Why do you want light trace? Let's say you want to separate your batch in 3 different batches to add different colorants and have control over your soap butter. Then you prefer your trace to be light because you have more time to work with it and you have more control over it. And then you can pour it into the mold and everything is beautiful and fine, no problems at all. I always work with light trace. Let's uncover the 4 reasons why you get trace acceleration. And number 1 is perhaps the most common one, and that's the essential oil or fragrance oil you are using. Now, if you go to your local soap supplier or your online soap supplier, most soap suppliers, they provide some fragrance oils and they actually say causes trace acceleration, causes light trace acceleration. So you can already have an indication of which fragrance oil will cause problems. But there are some that always cause problems. Let's talk about this. Anything related with vanilla will cause trace acceleration. Whether it's an essential oil or a CO2 extract or a fragrance oil. Remember, the difference between essential oils and fragrance oils is that essential oils are natural and fragrance oils are synthetic. So whether it's any of these, it will always cause trace acceleration. Then floral compounds, especially jasmine and geranium, sometimes ylang ylang. I've checked actually different varieties of ylang ylang will give different trace. So those 3, jasmine, geranium and ylang ylang, will be the 3 floras that will give you trace acceleration most of the times. Some spicy scents like nutmeg and cinnamon will also accelerate your trace. And finally, a few citrus compounds might also lead to trace acceleration. But here's the thing, that does not mean that you are not allowed to use any of these compounds. You can still use them. And if you follow the correct rules, you can use them with ease without getting any problems with your soap butter thickening too fast. Let's talk about culprit number 2. And culprit number 2 that causes trace acceleration is temperature. Why is that? The higher the temperature, the faster the saponification reaction happens and the faster your soap will reach trace. So what's happening here is that you want to mix your oils and lye solution at a low temperature. So you want to mix it at around 28 to 30 degrees Celsius. They have to be at a low similar temperature. Don't mix your oils at 28 and your lye solution at 45. You will have problems with separation. So just make sure they're at low similar temperatures. and that will give you way more control over your soap butter. You will have more time to separate it into different batches and add your colorants, your additives, and your essential oils, and then pour it into the mold. So temperature is key. The third culprit that causes trace acceleration is your water concentration in your lye solution. Less water equals faster trace. More water equals slower trace, but your bar might need a bit more time to cure. A typical lye concentration when you prepare your lye solution is 33 to 35%. If you use more than that, you might be risking of having a lye solution that is too concentrated, and that will cause your soap butter to thicken very, very fast. And the fourth culprit is your overall ingredients. So of course, if you have a high concentration of cocoa butter, that is a very solid butter, for example, in your soap, you might end up having a soap butter that solidifies so fast. There are certain additives that if you add, like salt, for example, salt also leads to a very, very, very hard bar and might accelerate your trace a lot. Then there are certain additives like honey or milk that can cause problems. So let's see overall, how can you troubleshoot even the worst of the trace acceleration cases? First of all, make sure that you add your essential oil or fragrance oil at the very, very, very end. I mean, when you have added your oils and lye solution together, you have mixed the rich lye trace. Right before you pour it into the mold, you add your essential oil blend, you mix a bit, and then you pour it into the mold. Fast. You don't need to mix a lot with your essential oil and your fragrance oil, okay? The same thing if you have split into different batches. First split into different batches, add your colorants, and then add your essential oil separately into each batch, mix fast and pour them into the mold. Like the very last thing you do is adding the essential oil and fragrance oil. Number 2, temperature, as we said, mix in low similar temperatures. Number 3, lye concentration. This is very important. Lye concentration, if you still get trace acceleration after doing 1 and 2, what you can do is that you can lower down your lye concentration. So there are certain recipes like the Himalayan salt recipe, one of my favorite and more advanced recipes, that uses 20% lye concentration. You heard that right. So usually we use 35%. This recipe uses 20% because salt will tend to really thicken your soap butter really, really fast. So you add the 20% lye concentration to make sure that your soap will not thicken so fast, but then you have to cure it for a longer time. So we have essential oil blend, temperature, lye concentration, those are the 3, and then the 4th, check your ingredients. If you add salt, if you add honey, if you add any clays like kaolin clay, also tends to thicken the soap butter really, really fast. You have to be aware of that. As always, my aim with this channel is not for you only to learn how to copy recipes. I have quite a few recipes that you can copy, but it's for you to learn how to design and formulate your own recipes for your own goals. That's when I consider that you have mastered soap making. Because if I just give you a recipe, you copy it, but you don't understand why I'm doing what, why I'm adding this percentage of coconut oil, why I'm adding this lye concentration, then it doesn't really make any sense for you. Because I could give you a recipe and then you could say, well, I like this recipe, but I can see Perry here has a 25% coconut oil concentration and I have a very sensitive skin. So I'm gonna lower down the coconut oil concentration to 10% or remove it completely because I understand formulation. If you want to learn that in detail, in addition with 15 tested recipes for soap making and different skincare essentials like shampoo bars and conditioner bars, click the link in my bio. I have an ebook. I have been receiving a lot of good feedback from it from people. It's helping a lot of people start their soap making and go from overwhelmed beginner to confident soap maker. That's what I would like for you as well, and I would love to hear your feedback about it. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.